Has the Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff painted an accurate picture for the Pac-12 presidents during this Pac-12 media negotiations? Or has he completely misread the room? Welcome to episode 217 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. We're going into the Jon Wilner Mercury news article of this morning. This is the second episode that we put out this morning. The first one was 216, Andrew Michon breaking news that ESPN for now is completely out, basically out of the Pac-12 negotiations, and it's unlikely that ESPN will be part of the deal. That was Andrew Michon, New York Post, early this morning. Check out episode 216. This is episode 217. Jon Wilner, Pac-12 Media Rights, How to Interpret a Recent Series of Public Comments by Campus Officials. 2 ADs and 1 presidents have spoken about the negotiations. We have a link provided in the description. You can read the whole article. The timing of all this makes perfect sense. No, not that timing. Not the timing of the Pac-12 media rights deal, because none of us know when it's going to happen, which has been extended far beyond what was originally forecast and might not be completed for many more weeks. Instead, we're referring to the timing of the on-the-record comments about the negotiations by those in the know. The utterances fit perfectly within the largest saga. The conference held its annual double shot of spring meetings in the first half of May. The athletic directors gathered in Scottsdale with the coaches during the first week. Then came the quarterly board meeting of university presidents on May 15th in Seattle. Both agendas included updates from Commissioner George Kliavkoff on the media rights negotiations and conference expansion. Kliavkoff hasn't spoken publicly about the topics for 6 months, and that didn't change following the May meetings. But 2 athletic directors and 1 president addressed the situation, thus providing fans and media members alike with enough crumbs to create a path through the silence. That's great writing by Jon Wilner. I love how he uses the words, and media members alike with enough crumbs to create a path through the silence. Let's dig in. In an article published last week on Oregon Live based on an interview early in the month, Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullins addressed the Ducks' future in the conference. The Pac-12 has 10 outstanding members remaining, and we're one of them, Mullins said. And I think the Pac-12 has served the University of Oregon well. I think everybody is aligned. I think there's great confidence we're going to end in the right place. Some took we're going to end in the right place to mean either the Pac-12 or the Big Ten. The university is weighing its options, essentially. The hotline, Mercury News, Jon Wilner, the hotline interpreted those 8 words to be specific to the Pac-12, that Mullins expects an acceptable deal, that the Ducks are committed to the conference, that they fully intend to sign the grant of rights and bind their media revenue to the Pac-12 for the duration of the contract. Partly by nature and partly by experience, he was the chair of the playoff selection committee. Mullins knows exactly what to say publicly, how to say it, how it will be received. We consider it highly unlikely that he would have offered a comment that purposely or mistakenly drew Oregon's intentions into question. He's far too smart for that. The same day, May 16th, Arizona State Athletic Director Ray Anderson commented on the media rights and expansion during the conversation published by the Speak of the Devils podcast. Ray Anderson said, "I'm very confident in the long-term viability of the Pac-12. The 10 schools are solid. It will be summertime when we have a deal to announce. I don't know if that's July or August." Unlike other Pac-12 athletic directors who have been as vague as possible in their rare public comments, Anderson offered a specific timeline for resolution. We suspect the conference office was less than pleased given its attempts to temper expectation. While Anderson's tone was generally positive about the direction of the negotiations, one word caught our attention at the hotline. The word announce. He didn't say it will be summertime when they have a deal. He said it will be summertime when they have a deal to announce. That suggests an intriguing possibility that the conference already has an agreement in place or the framework of an agreement, but isn't moving forward with the final steps at the request of one or more of its media partners. Intrigue. The final public utterance that appeared on our radar came from a university president, Washington State's Kirk Schultz, who spoke to KookFan.com after the Scottsdale's gathering, but before the quarterly board meeting. He offered a notable comment on multiple fronts. We have more bidders coming to the table, more people interested as time goes on, and the 10 schools are as unified as I've ever seen them. We hope in the next few weeks to a month to have a media rights deal, then get the grant of rights signed by all 10 schools, and then work on expansion. Again, Jon Wilner, the Hotline Mercury News. Without diminishing the insight provided by Anderson or Mullins, it's important to remind fans that Schultz is a member of the PAC-12's executive committee, the 3-person group of presidents that works closely with Kliavkoff to set the strategy. Washington and Stanford is also members of that committee. So how should we interpret the collection of recent public utterances that presented an optimistic tone for the future of the Pac-12? In combination, they sent the hotline back to a familiar conclusion. Number one, by this point in the negotiation process, Kliavkoff assuredly has seen specific bids from negotiating partners. If not the final numbers, then at least the initial offers. Number two, the public comments by Pac-12 athletic directors and presidents over the past few months are based on internal updates and external talking points provided by Kliavkoff. Number three, Kliavkoff would never send campus officials into the public sphere with a bright and shiny outlook if the internal reality based on having seen the numbers suggested doom and gloom. I gotta say, we have our doubts, especially on number three here at Peek Around the Corner. And then finally, which means we are headed into one or two outcomes, folks. Again, Jon Wilner Hotline. We're headed to one or two of these outcomes. The picture painted by Kliavkoff during executive meetings is accurate, and the conference indeed will end up in the right place. Or Kliavkoff has completely misinterpreted the numbers and misread the position of his negotiating partners after all these months. The latter is possible, of course. Until there's a deal, we cannot dismiss that scenario. But the former seems likely. So Jon Wilner believes, even today on May 22nd, that the picture painted by Kliavkoff during these executive meetings is accurate, and the conference will end up in the right place. We have not made it a secret here at Peek Around the Corner that we believe the Pac-12 will get poached again. We've been saying this since February 24th because it has to do with the deal. We don't think they can get a deal good enough to get all 10 presidents to sign on board. Earlier this morning, Andrew Michon, episode 216, if you want to go back and catch it, you should do so. Basically saying ESPN and the Pac-12, it's not happening. At least right now, it is not happening, and it's unlikely to happen. So our question is, what is the deal? What's the media deal? What is it? What are any of the details? How many months are we into this? Let's take a look. This is Ross Dellinger. He put out a tweet in regards to Brett McMurphy's tweet from Action Network. Brett McMurphy was tweeting the Andrew Michon report. Here's Ross Dellinger. Both the Pac-12 and ESPN have been adamant that they remain in talks over a potential TV deal. But it's becoming more and more clear that ESPN is being very selective, and there are plenty of doubters that agree to have a piece of the Pac-12. There are plenty of doubters, and if the numbers are growing, that they'll agree to have a piece of the Pac-12. ESPN out right now. Out. They're out of the Pac-12 deal. That's a heavy blow. That's a heavy blow, as we said in the previous episode. To the Pac-12 negotiating, Kliavkoff trying to get all 10 presidents on board. Brandon Marcello from 247 Sports. He also tweeted on Brett McMurphy's tweet on Andrew Machon's report, Brandon Marcello, belts are tightening. Belts are tightening at ESPN and across the country when it comes to media. Media recession, that's what we're in. We said that on October 30th, episode 83. People are catching on. It's all about the deal. Yes, the Pac-12 schools that remain want to stay together. They want to play with their peers. They want to play with each other. Large research universities. But times are changing. The belts are tightening. ESPN out. NBC out. Amazon out. CBS out. Who is in? Who is in on this deal that George Kliavkoff supposedly is painting an accurate picture for the Pac-12 presidents? Who is in on this deal? That's what we're waiting for. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Put down your comments and thoughts in the comment section below the video. We're going to be covering this story as long as it goes. We think there's going to be some action soon, real action. So brace for impact. Buckle up. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.